It may look like from that video that the healthcare is government sponsored, but it's actually not.
In fact, the healthcare that you see on the screen was done by the Partners for Sustainable Development, and most of the micro-lending institutions in Bangladesh then also try to fund these clinics as well.
Right.
But it's loans. It's not free clinics, and everybody has to pay a little bit. But these are all, and they're never enough clinics. They're never enough to even serve the villages that are micro-lending. So that's one of the challenges, is how to expand this healthcare. But it's all private organizations. The government really does nothing in healthcare.
Yeah. Laura, did you have a question?
I do. Can you say your name, please?
Sarah. I was curious, here in the United States, we pay taxes, and a portion of that tax goes to government healthcare for those in need.
Right.
So why can't the government in Bangladesh or in whichever country has this poverty problem, why don't they have a tax program or some sort of program with allocated funds for government-assisted healthcare?
That's a really good question.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well, it's just very simple. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
These governments have no money at all. And so they don't have any money for health care. And so they may even have a health ministry, although very questionable, but they have no money. And they're talking 160 million people in Bangladesh, and they can't even begin to think of how to do health care in that country.
But then, Pat, what is the answer? Because really, we have countries, and Bangladesh is just one of them.
One of many countries.
And so we have countries with millions of people living in poverty.
With no health care.
And poverty creates a vicious cycle where we are likely to have more health problems. And those health problems are costly. And so where are these people to go? And you just explained that they have to pay then for their health care, which is going to throw them deeper into poverty. So what is the answer?
But they pay, they pay $6 a year.
Yes, but that is very costly for them. I mean,
for a whole family? No, not if they're under microlending. That isn't so costly.
There are people who cannot pay, and we'll see shortly, cannot even pay for their children's education, which means that their children are not going to get out of poverty, and then they aren't going to pay for their own health care, and they're often not even going to pay for a meal a day.
So what you're pointing to is this idea of the interrelatedness of all this poverty.
Health, education, and poverty.
Health, education, poverty, and then these people are walking or driving very far to get there, so you get sick.
It causes more health problems.
It causes more problems, so you get sicker by the time you get to the health.
I'm saying I don't see the way out. I do kind of, but I see
exactly the way out, because the more loans you have, the more micro loans you have, and the more cottage industries, the more money people have, and then they're able to have the insurance, and that then helps, as the loans get paid back, that helps the non-government organizations to open more clinics, and so there's this really avalanche effect. Starts with a little tiny snowball. And so because the government is not going to do anything in Bangladesh for a very long time.
But it's access to capital.
It would be lovely if it did, but it doesn't. And they could tax people, but there's no money. What are they going to tax them on?
Well, shouldn't we try and impact the government a little more forcefully as well?
No, because
do that.
Absolutely
Why
not.
But
there's this thing called autonomy and national interests. I think that would be insane.
No, not we, but we could.
Who?
In the next segment, could we impact the next generation of leaders so that they are more responsible
if we pay
government
them a lot
leaders?
Of bribes, yes.
No, more. We can educate for the next generation of leaders and make them more responsible leaders in Bangladesh.
Yeah, but that's going to take 20 or 30 more years.
Or 14.
I don't mind
so.
the investment. I think, but this idea of giving people capital, even a little tiny bit of capital,
lending people,
finding access to it, would give them most of what we're talking about.
That's what's going on right now.
Right.
Yes.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
It's a 20-year investment, but you're willing to make that investment. I'm proud.
Well, I am. Education. It's the answer to everything. Okay. I think that it's a holistic approach.
Of course.
Yes. That you have micro-lending.
Right.
And that we help to inspire entrepreneurship so that then we can inspire and impact the economy. And then we also need to look at education, because education is going to allow that cycle effect so that we can also impact leadership. But that's why we're studying this one NGO, because that's what they do. They not only do microloans and cottage industries, they have schools, as you'll see, and they have healthcare clinics, and they try to educate the whole person. Evidently, we have another question. David?
Ask David again.
Hi, David again.
Do you think that we should be allocating our capital overseas and to other countries when we have so many problems here
You mean
in
the
the
US
United
capital?
States?
In the United States, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
So,
We're not-
so
we're-
people who are thinking about loans, should they go overseas?
Well, we're talking about such small loans that I don't
Yeah.
think that, yes, I do, because we're all part of a global system.
Well, you're-
We're not just, unless we want to be isolationists, which we could be. We worked on that
Don't
before.
even,
We got
don't.
pretty much an F in that, but we can try it again. I don't recommend that. But we're
Right.
all part of a whole global system, and it matters in Bangladesh, because if you raise the standard of living there, guess what they're going to do? Buy stuff.
Yeah.
And that'll raise the standard of living then for everyone. So
Yeah.
yes, I do.
And I
So-
think that people
ahead.
pay back money there just as much as they pay
These
back
are
money here.
loans. These are
So
not-
if they,
these
if
are
they
not
pay back a
capital.
loan there and it's a 98% repayment rate, why not invest your money there? I mean, it seems like a good idea.
So do we only offer microloans where there's a very high rate of repayment?
I think we do. I mean, if you're asking me, I know it sounds selfish, but I think we do. I think it's a business.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
You're
it's
not helping
it's-
people if they're not paying back money.
Yeah, it
You're not
doesn't work.
helping people.